So look, we got to talk about the election. We got to talk about Trump. We got to talk about Biden. And apparently RFK Jr. is now in a quandary again. Again. Yes. Again, RFK Jr. in the middle of something. Because, folks, everyone is saying now that RFK Jr. on one side is taking votes away from Donald Trump. But then, oh no, one of his staffers recently said out loud, saying the quiet part loud apparently, that RFK's mission is to take votes away from Biden so that the House elects our next president, Donald Trump. This election cycle isn't that important. It's going to be funny. I'm loving right now the mental gymnastics that people are putting themselves through in regards to saying how dangerous third parties are and independents are. Now, I have my criticism for RFK Jr. and his campaign, just like I have criticism for Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein, everybody. Okay, this election cycle has been one big disappointment. I was ever holding out for hope that maybe there'd be a little bit more of a push by third parties and independents. But look, I'm just impressed overall with the amount of coverage that third parties are getting. Of course, it's negative. Of course it is. But more people are being more receptive towards independents and third parties. Could it have been better? The answer is yes. But I'm overall somewhat okay with this, but generally still disappointed by this election cycle. So let's talk about the whole thing that set this thing off, because people lost their minds. They went crazy. They just stopped thinking. And of course, I get messages too from people saying, oh, kid, how is it that you can laugh at the fact that Biden could lose votes and then Trump can get into office? To which I respond, I don't care. I don't care. The whole thing is an epic fraud. RFK Jr. official admits goals to elect Trump. Woogie boogie boogie. The orange boogeyman. He's underneath your couch. He's in your closet. He's right behind you. RFK Jr.'s stated platform in the 2024 presidential race centers around promoting a honest government, a clean, healthy environment, and protection of civil liberties. That's nice. But his New York State director last week boiled down the independent campaign's true goal at a meeting with Republican voters, ensuring former President Donald Trump wins the election. Speaking at the meeting last Thursday, Rita Palma first checked to make sure that there were no Biden voters in the House. Don't worry, they're not in the House. Before telling her audience that her number one priority is to ultimately take electoral votes away from President Joe Biden. Well, I don't know if RFK Jr. or Dr. West or Dr. Jill Stein or anybody else can secure an electoral college vote. Obviously, I would love to see it for my own personal reasons. I think it would stand out historically for all of us, seeing a third-party candidate maybe win one electoral college vote. But that's easier said than done. And the thing is, for all those so concerned about one of RFK Jr.'s people making the statement is, well, gee, Democrats, if you're crapping your pants like Joe Biden, maybe, I don't know, the Democrats could have followed through with making our lives a little bit easier. Maybe instead of just constantly saying, wait, we can't do it now. You guys got to vote harder, poor people. You got to do this. Can you give us money? Instead of actually doing that, maybe you could have done some follow through, implementing popular progressive policies. But no, Democrats, you didn't do that. You didn't do that at all. And like anybody right now in an abusive relationship, as soon as the person that's being abused is walking away, the abuser is now panicking and failing a route, saying, oh my goodness, how could you do this to me? Don't you know I love you? So she said it. Big deal. Democrats, if you were more confident in yourselves, you wouldn't be worried about this at all. If you actually thought that Biden had what it took, you wouldn't be scared. The Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, said Palma, our mutual enemy is Biden. Okay, she said that. States including New York, California, most of the Northeast are likely to vote for a Democratic president, she continued, and unfortunately Illinois. But if Kennedy, who Palma referred to as Bobby, is on the ballot in New York, the campaign could get rid of Biden. So let's hear what she said precisely. Let's hear these words. Let's hear these words, because this is what triggered so many people on April 5th.
So there's no Biden voters in the House, right? No. Okay, good. Things, I guess, will change over time because you do have to only pick one candidate at the end of the day. But the Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden. Since Biden is counting on us with Bobby in the mix, my thought is for the Republicans. See, Bobby right now, he's pulling from both sides. Right now, he's actually pulling a little bit more from Biden, which explains why the DNC is kind of ganging up on him. They have a special committee to go after independent candidates. Yeah, they say independent candidates, like non-affiliated candidates, they really mean Bobby, because Bobby's the only third party that anybody's taking seriously. So they developed a committee just.
Well, they're also going after Dr. Jill Stein because they're still triggered by her campaign in 2016. To some extent, they are going after Dr. Cornel West, but that is just a joke of a campaign. And they haven't really touched the libertarians yet, but there's been an ongoing onslaught, to which I also have to say, RFK Jr. is still ignoring the challenge, the gauntlet that was laid down by Dr. Jill Stein to debate on the situation in Gaza. He still has not responded, nor has he responded to that debate from Max Blumenthal as well to do that debate.
To go after him and to get him off of the ballot in any way they can. Especially, it seems as though they're going after the battleground states more than the deep blue states. Bobby's moving the blues on his own. If the Republicans accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, Chicago, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, most of the Northeast is going to go blue, why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden and get those 28 electoral votes in New York? The card's a little wrong. It says 26 electoral votes. Give those 28 electoral votes to Bobby rather than to Biden, thereby reducing Biden's 270. And we all know how that works, right? 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president.
Now, I don't trust Congress to pick our next president, but I would like to see an independent candidate win one electoral college state. One. And it would be historic to see something of this magnitude. And perhaps this is just me being petty. I do want to see the social media meltdown and the whole explosion, people tweeting about it, people making TikTok videos about it, people crying on their phones because so many people are emotionally immature. If you're so scared about this election, it tells me I can't take you seriously. It also tells me that many people are ever hopeful and clinging on to these politicians as though they're their saviors. This will be a great reveal on who is serious and who is not. Now, I, of course, will be covering the election night. I will be talking about it. I'll be giving my 2 cents, my perspective, my point of view. And no matter what happens at the end of the day on November, when the election night is all done, when all the votes are tallied up, tomorrow is a brand new day, and we have to live on with the best of our lives. But this is politics. Democrats, if you're so scared by this statement right here, then up your game up. Or either that, perhaps, maybe you should have put your foot down and had Biden just be a one-term president. Maybe have your primaries be more engaging. After all, 2016 and 2020 were light years ahead of this crap show that we saw in 2024. Who'd you have? Dean Phillips? Cenk Uygur? Marianne Williamson? Talk about a horrible, horrible pick. People who are not inspirational whatsoever, and then Joe Biden as the nominee, seeing how quickly AOC and Bernie Sanders bent over backwards just to say that they're going to endorse him. Democrats, you could have ran a better game. It's not that I like seeing this. It's just, you could have avoided this.
So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. Does everybody follow that? Okay.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people don't like Biden. Now let's go ahead and pull up the media meltdown, though, because people are still triggered by this. Leave it up for BSDNC.
Another day, another said the quiet part out loud thing that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s independent presidential campaign is distancing itself from. You remember last week, it was a fundraising email calling.
I know, and I saw in the chat too, when the votes are tallied up, when we're all added up together. So yes, I know the votes, like voting matters.
January 6th defendants activists. And this time, it's a pretty shocking admission from a New York campaign staffer, Rita Palma, about the campaign's real goal.
The Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden. Whether you support Bobby or Trump, we all oppose Biden. 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president, right? Right now, we have a majority of Republicans in Congress. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump.
Those edited comments are part of a presentation to Republican voters since deleted from YouTube. NBC News obtained the fuller video from a source who downloaded it, and Palma hasn't responded to NBC's request for comment. She's a longtime anti-vaccination activist in New York State. In 2020, the New York Post reported on Palma as the founder of an anti-vaccine group, My Kids, My Choice. She said, quote, "COVID is God's gift to the vaccine choice movement. It's woken up so many people and put us in a national spotlight," unquote. So naturally, it makes sense. She's an RFK fan. In the video.
Oh, naturally. Well said. Okay. What you're seeing here is BSDNC in its super fast rush to say, oh no, look at the RFK Jr. campaign. They want to help Trump. Well, the Democrats have been on the warpath against third parties more so than Republicans. And to be fair, when Heartland's Media was ever interviewing other third-party candidates in different states, yes, there were plenty of examples of Republican lawmakers at the state level going after third parties and silencing them, being they independents, libertarians, Greens, etc. The Republican Party can be just as vile and brutal as the Democrats, but the Democrats, they're front and center. They're still triggered by 2016. They're still upset about it. And they're really upset at the fact that as soon as you add in the other third-party candidates, Biden, surprise, surprise, loses, like the clown that he is. BSDNC is doing its job after all. And never forget that clip I played of that former ESPN host saying that she read a scripted interview. All these interviews with Joe Biden, if that one was scripted by ESPN, so is every other interview done by BSDNC or ABC or CBS. It's all part of a plan. It's all scripted.
Video, she identifies herself as the campaign's New York State director. But according to Kennedy's campaign, Rita Palma is a ballot access consultant responsible for scheduling volunteer shifts for our upcoming signature collection drive in the Empire State, adding that she is not involved in electoral strategy nationally or in New York. This was not a campaign event. Palma was speaking as a private citizen, and her statements in no way reflect the strategy of the Kennedy campaign. Joining me now is freelance investigative journalist Jacqueline Sweet.
Yeah, so they're going to be investigating into how much of a danger RFK Jr. is. But we already have that here because I know many people are tired of this. But hold on. Discussing the youth vote for RFK Jr. and other third-party candidates because BSDNC can't wrap their head around the fact that, oh no, people don't want to vote Democrat.
Eugene, I also want to ask you, when it comes to third-party candidates, a GOP pollster is predicting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will likely take more votes from former President Donald Trump than President Biden. Is that a conventional...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop everything. First, they're saying he's going to take away votes from Biden. Now they're saying he's going to take away votes from Trump. Which one is it? Trump, Biden? Make up your choice. Which one is it? Or maybe he's going to take votes from both sides.
Wisdom way or conventional way to look at this, or is that off base to you? Because you think about the famous Kennedy name, and there are some people, maybe Democrats, will say, well, actually, I want to go for him without knowing his politics. What do you think, Eugene?
No, that's what we found to be true at Axios. I help oversee the Axios Swing Voter Project, and when I've spoken with swing voters, people who backed Trump in 2016 and Biden in 2020, many of them are considering Kennedy in 2024. They do not want Trump back in the White House, but they just aren't sure that they want to get behind Biden. And the Kennedy name is really helping them give him attention that a third-party candidate with his, lack of familiarity with Washington usually would not get. But I think it's important that we pay attention to this and see as we get closer to November if that popularity will remain in place, because we know that RFK has recently said a number of things that fall outside of what is considered like mainstream views on January 6th, on vaccines, and other topics that voters are going to be paying attention to heading into the election.
And Christina, I mean, do you perceive a trend toward RFK Jr., especially when you think about the fact that Eugene just put out all those facts about his politics? What are you seeing?
I mean, I think that there are some people that could be swayed by his name and that don't know a lot about him. But young people, as they learn more about him, about his conspiracy theories, about his positions on immigration, they are very unpopular positions with young people, and they will come to see that voting for him won't move forward progressive policy.
And what's the next choice? Biden, Trump, or perhaps the most controversial one of them all, people just don't vote, period, because no one is inspirational. No one is currently running is really got that lightning, that charge, that attraction to earn a vote. When you have crap, expect a crap response. People aren't excited about the choices of Trump versus Biden again. No one's excited to see 2020 get repeated in 2024. Voters have made that very clear, as have independent voters, people who are burnt out by the two-party system, people who are burnt out by the electoral process. Once again, Misty, you were correct. Electoral politics is a waste of time. And this is probably going to be my last election cycle to be voting in. However, I'm not going to waste my vote on Democratic politicians or Republican politicians. But seeing as what young people have, okay, there's a very good chance that a lot of young people may not be excited for RFK Jr. But you expect them what? To fly back to Joe Biden? Joe Biden, who has yet to really do anything about the crisis in Gaza or our economic crisis that we're facing here, or for the fact that we still have student debt crisis, no Medicare for all. We have a crumbling infrastructure. People are going to be flocking back to him. That's not how things work.
Policy, voting for him could elect Donald Trump. And so I think that message will really resonate with young people, especially, again, young people that care very deeply. This is the most diverse generation in American history. The positions of Kennedy don't really speak to that, especially when you look at the core issue of immigration and the stance he's been taking.
Well, as you bring up diversity, there are, of course, some other candidates, third-party candidates. There's Cornel West, there's Jill Stein. Are you hearing young people talk about them, Christina?
We're seeing a few young people talk about these candidates, these Green Party or progressive candidates, still in the single digits. I think those third-party candidates have to be taken seriously, though. And that's, I think, why the Biden administration has to do so much to reach young people. When we look at the Inflation Reduction Act, the single largest investment by any country in the planet to tackle the climate crisis, is overwhelmingly popular with young people, but a lot of young people still don't even know that it passed or what's in it. And I don't blame young people for that. We need to make sure.
But they will blame young people for not falling in line. They will blame voters as a whole for supporting Joe Biden. See, Democrats are losing voters. They're losing black voters. They're losing Latino voters. They're losing women voters. They're losing young people. They keep on losing all the time. And unfortunately, we don't live in a modern democracy where popular vote would matter. We have no ranked choice voting. We don't have choices for voting independents or third parties. We're stuck with option team red or option team blue. And both parties, as I've said before, are owned by corporate donors. So it should come as no surprise that right now Democrats are panicking because they failed to follow through with their promises. In 2020, they promised so much, but I knew that was a lie. And we here at Hard Lens Media warned a lot of the vote blue no matter who sycophants and those that were bullied by the vote blue no matter who establishment that they were never going to deliver, that the Democrats and people like Joe Biden were never, ever going to offer anything of value. So when people, especially you have other third-party candidates saying that they want to do everything they can to maybe defeat Joe Biden, well, there's a very legit reason why maybe there's such open hostility towards Joe Biden, because this is the first time we've seen an administration do everything in its power to prevent people from being on the ballot. Now, if Donald Trump had done this, I would be saying the same thing too. This administration's absolute crap. This administration is doing everything it can to silence and suppress voices, but yet this is happening under a Democratic administration. Never forget that Joe Biden and his administration tried to lift up and use everything in their playbook to prevent Donald Trump from being on the ballot. Democrats did that. Same thing for third parties and independents. They're doing everything they can to prevent you from making that choice of voting, maybe for RFK or Dr. Jill Stein or Dr. Cornel West or anybody else that's running. They want to prevent you from having that choice and flock you right back into voting for Biden.
Sure that we're reaching them, that we're connecting with them, that they know about that they know about what could happen with the Supreme Court, not just on abortion, but contraception, that the extreme positions of Donald Trump and his potential nominees for the Supreme Court will set us back even not just 50 years like with Roe v. Wade, it could set us back 100 years when it comes to contraception.
Eugene, I want to ask you, you say you oversee the Swing Voters Project there at Axios. Do you think third-party candidates could possibly make a difference in those swing states? You think of the Michigans, the Ohios, places like that?
I hope so. I hope third parties make such a huge impact that so many Democrats and liberals are triggered, that they suffer from PTSD, okay? I want to see that. Not for any political reason, not for any analysis, just for petty reasons. I want to see it happen. I want to see people cry and have their little pathetic meltdowns.
Absolutely. We spoke with people in Arizona, in Wisconsin, and North Carolina. We know, because we were paying attention in 2020 and 2016, that this race will be decided in the margins, and it'll be a few percentage points in some of these places. And whether or not Biden is willing to, or able to, should I say, win and maintain the White House will be in part due to the popularity or continued popularity of a third-party candidate. Because we saw that happen in 2016, and that could happen again here.
And may it happen again. May it happen again. Yes, I'm going to say that again to all those people who are triggered by third parties and independents. I want to see third parties actually secure electoral college votes. I don't care if this offends people, because for too long we have been living under this threat of, oh, if you vote third party, you're a horrible person. You're secretly a Trump supporter. Well, I'm going to vote third party and independent, because the Democratic Party does not represent my values. Neither does the Republican Party. And of course, people will say, well, then by you voting third party, you and you alone are helping Donald Trump get elected into office. Donald Trump would not be relevant were it not for the incompetency of the Democratic Party. You're telling voters that no matter what, they have to accept their choices as they are, and that even though things are bad, even though things are terrible, even though things are so horrific, you still have to vote for Biden because Donald Trump's just so mean. He hurts people's feelings, and he's going to take away our liberties. What liberties and democracy are you talking about? We have a Supreme Court that legalized bribery. You have politicians who do insider trading. Check out Unusual Whales. You'll find out what your fantastic Democratic and Republican lawmaker makes on the side. All they're caring about is their ongoing profits. They don't respect you. They only care about expanding their portfolios. It's always about money, so it doesn't matter who sits on the throne. At least Donald Trump's more upfront with his BS. I know that he has his own problems. But Democrats, theoretically, you could have been better. But anytime people ask you to be better, you told people to shut up. So keep on complaining, keep on crying. It's falling on deaf ears. It'll be sweet to watch how many people panic and melt down in November. Personally, I hope all the third-party candidates at least secure one electoral college vote state. I do hope that is possible. That would be nice to see. That would... Even though it's a tall order, I would love to see it. It would be historic. If one of them can pull it off, more the better. Because I'm tired of the monopoly that the Democratic Party has and the Republican Party has over our entire system. Something's got to change. We need to kickstart something so that we can actually have a better future, because what we have just doesn't work.